Hey guys, I'm Janet on occasion, and today, more Rogue Trader. So while we're on the bridge, I'm going to have a little look around. We can chat to some folks, because I think, what's her face? Battle Sister's got a quest for us or something, doesn't she? We'll see if Adira needs anything as well. The tall middle-aged woman stares straight ahead, her eyes vacant, as she rubs the implant at her temple. Her collar is undone, and one of the clasps is on the verge of falling off. Sensing your presence, Adira turns her head towards you and offers you a crooked smile, even as her eyes look right through you. You seem to have a strong reaction to what Argenta said by the broken lens. Yeah, fair enough, because Argenta's just like a bit of a tosser, really. You know, she's a fanatic, you know, that's completely on brand. Hopefully, at some point she'll realise, oh wait, there's nuance in the universe, rather than just being on this, like, holy mission of, you know, murder everyone and assume all the slightest suspicion immediately is the same as guilt. You know, slight suspicion isn't the same as guilt. You know, usually in a just system. So.
It was just my nerves playing up.
No, Slay Queen. Seriously.
Something about our little saint doesn't sit right with me, and I trust my gut. Oh sure, she seems straight as an arrow and as predictable as a hangover after drinking. But when I look at her, something about her makes my brain itch.
I'm actually hoping that the thing that something's not quite right about her is the fact that she may actually, you know, not be a walking stereotype of a battle sister and might actually have some nuance to her. And Adira might go, oh, I was right to have a feeling about her, but you know, she's actually like a cool dude. But
after that conversation, I tried to listen to what was being said about her beyond the door. What I heard was strange. Blood in her past, twilight in her present, and something like a star leading her. But where is it leading her? I saw several roads, and all of them frightened me.
So this thing, something like a star leading her. I do wonder if that's going to be something specific to this game, or if it's the fact that the Sisters of Battle all sort of hold up Saint Celestine, who is basically like a demon. She's essentially a warp entity. So do you think that's the thing guiding her? You know, their sort of zealotry has turned into like, what's the word? You know, kind of like idol worship, which obviously isn't beneficial to the Imperium, seeing as how that turns into like, you know, chaos demons and things. It's a bit iffy. So I don't know. Let's see. Maybe we should warn Argenta. Yeah, let's see.
Oh yeah, you go ahead and tell her the wicked Psyker has divined something about her. She'll be so pleased and grateful, and of course she'll listen to what you have to say. No, that would be pointless. And anyway, I'm not even sure what it all means. Maybe the danger is to her? Or maybe the danger's coming from her?
Well, actually, any sister battle has a potential to sort of turn into the, you know, the avatar of that is Saint Celestine. So it's an interesting one, you know. It's a quirky one. But I'm glad that I still said that. The idea that, you know, well maybe Argenta isn't going to have the best time of this prophecy, and you know, maybe she's treated like a human being. She's like, no, she's crazy. But like, I'm glad I added the little, you know, I sowed that seed. So Adira's voice is full of animosity, but you also detect concern. Look at that! Look, a bit of hint of pity and compassion. See what I mean? I did add that little bit of, she's a person though, eh? Remember? And yeah, there you go. Because, you know, you don't stop zealots being zealots by just sort of like writing them off. You know what I mean? So things are strange between you and Argenta, isn't that right? I don't think we just relitigated that. So, what's it like being a psyker?
Lord Captain, forgive me, but it would be like talking to a person born blind about colors. I could spend hours explaining, but it wouldn't make any sense to you.
Oh, so it's like seeing colors? Yes.
Every psyker feels their connection with the warp in their own way. One person might see spots and shadows out of the corner of their eye. Another feels fingers running down their spine. As for me, I've got a door in my head. One that's open just a crack. There's no way to close it, no matter how hard I try. I've just had to get used to the whispers from the other side. When I need to use it for work, I listen in more closely. But I usually just try not to notice it.
I mean, that does sound like that would drive anyone insane, doesn't it? What if your door burst open?
Well, if the door opens, that means somebody's planning to come in, right? But screw them. They're not coming through. Trust me. I know how to keep my valuable head locked up tight.
Very cool. I'm enjoying this characterization. This is good stuff. Can you see my future?
All right. That's what I'm here for, after all. So, I'm just going to lean on that door in my head a little more, prick up my ears, and listen to what the warp's got to say about you. If you'll allow it, I can listen right now.
I love that the warp entities are gossiping about us. Yeah, okay.
All right. Let's hear what they're whispering about you.
Adira laughs, rubs her hands together, and suddenly freezes with a vacant smile on her face, her head slightly tilted. You feel goosebumps appear on your skin, and your collar begins to waver ever so slightly, as if moved by a breeze from a half-open door. Close the door! Close the door, Adira!
Seek not on firm ground, but in a golden hall suspended in the void. There waits a child without kin, but with a name blind to truth. She draws the brush across the canvas and does not notice that her palette is full not of paint, but of blood. And with each smear, this well does not deplete, but fills and fills up to the brim. One thing is clear. When this vessel overflows, none will remain unstained.
This is very cool. This is a gorgeously written paragraph. I love it. So obviously, you know, Golden Hall suspended the void. That's our ship, you know. So just straight up, as a rogue trader, you know, don't have our home is never going to be on some planet. Always aboard the ship. Wait, a child without kin with the name blind to truth. That is a bit more cryptic, but cryptic is good, right? So who is this child without kin, right? Someone, you know, lonely, who we're going to save, perhaps, but maybe not. I don't know. She draws the brush across the canvas. We are basically the person who decides the fate of billions of people in the Cronus Expanse, right? And does not notice that a palette is not full of paint, but of blood. Unforeseen consequences of our actions. You know, our actions are so vast that they will affect, you know, countless people, and often in very horrible ways. A lot of people will end up dead, especially given the fact that, you know, the story that we're playing obviously it's a video game and there will be adversaries and things, so there will be a lot of blood regardless of our decisions. So again, you know, makes it very cryptic, makes us be wary of our actions. That's really fun. And with each smear, this well does not deplete. So we're just going to keep going, and it's going to get just worse and worse, more and more blood the further we go, and that's awesome. This is really, really beautifully written. I really enjoy this. It doesn't give anything away, but it sort of tells us everything that's going to happen, you know?
Among the blind men and false prophets, a red-robed sage seeks the answer to a question. He does not know that it is not the answer he must seek, but the question that will draw everything into focus. Will you help him, rogue trader? But mark that sometimes ignorance is sweeter than oblivion.
So we've already seen a bunch of random cultists who will see themselves as prophets, but we're the thing with the chaos entity in our head. So, you know, are we the real prophet here? You know? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's more specific. Blind men and false prophets? Is that, in a red robe, this could also be talking about the Mechanicus. This could just be like the next chapter when we bump into a Mechanicus character, you know? So, because, yeah, they're all false prophets, right? Because they're all sort of spreading the word of the Omnissiah, you know? So maybe. I don't know, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. It is really well
A
written.
chained hound chases after glimmers of the aurora, but sparks and the scent of oil confound his nose. A chain trails after him. What will happen if you pick it up? Will you become his mistress? Or merely another beast in the pack of his true lord?
Okay, so this... a chained hound. So clearly someone bound to Khorne. Khorne loves his hounds. Chained, they all are, you know, because, yeah. Chase after glimmers, the aurora. The aurora, we've already had that posed as some kind of prophet-like character by that cult we bumped into. Sparks and the scent of oil confound his nose. It could be that the chained hound is... this could be the... you know what? All of this, I think, might refer to the next thing we're going to do. We've done it in the beta. I'm not going to go into detail, but actually it would kind of fit. The scent of oil confound his nose. Sparks and everything. This sounds like maybe a demon engine, is what they're talking about. So we'll see. We'll see if that tracks as we play. Man, there's some cool stuff. And pick what up? I don't know. And will we become merely another beast? You know? Ooh.
The glow of dawn bursts forth from its prison. Dungeon walls cannot contain the dark essence wallowing in the dust. A naive cub pushes his nose into a familiar hand, one that holds death in twisted glass. Cherish it or cast it off as a burden. The sword of change has already been raised. What is one more life to it?
This sounds to me like what we just did when we literally went to a prison, right? Maybe it is. These are all the different parts of this chapter. Because yeah, the naive cub puts his nose into a familiar hand. One that holds death in twisted glass. The naive cub is the winter scale boy. You know, pushes his nose into a familiar hand. The familiar hand being that of his friend. You know, as he's all pushed in. But there was only death and twisted glass there. Maybe? Perhaps? I don't know, it's some interesting stuff.
I'm sorry, Lord Captain. The voices are going wild. I can't make out a thing. I'll try to rein them in, somehow. But for now...
The Psyker shrugs sheepishly and sniffs. That's awesome. This is all very cool stuff. But I don't think we need to keep grilling her. Let's move on to other characters.
Always...
Whoops. Didn't mean to cut her off, but I did. Well, no one else down here. I love that you can see like other decks down here. Really helps sell the scale of this place. Because it is really a very big place. That goes to the Lord Captain's quarters. There's a lift. Oh, so it is. And Susie, who's doing all that banging? Ah, there's Argenta. Yeah, I remember now. And we've got Master Helmsman. God, this ship is huge. I love it. So cool. The design of ships in 40k is just sublime. It's the most unique, like, sci-fi sort of vibe. Having this sort of, like, you know, gothic architecture on spaceships is just awesome. Every other sci-fi looks like it could be, you know, all from the same place, really. Actually, saying that, Star Trek was pretty good. Star Trek had a pretty good identity. Like the dishes with the nacelles behind, that's pretty unique. You don't see that often. Most sci-fi spaceships just look like guns. You know, they just look like guns floating in space. That's about it, really. You said you have a personal request for me. That's why we're here.
I indeed have a request, Rogue Trader.
Oh, okay, this bit's not voiced. Interesting. Which is odd, because that's a quest. Whereas the other stuff, I guess, profits about the main, like, all the story elements are pretty cool thing to have voiced. But anyway, the accursed servants of chaos who assaulted the ship took the lives of your loyal crew members, and they orphaned many children, including the progeny of the brave officers who defended their post until the bitter end. I don't know what customary practices there are for cases like this in the Von Valancius territory, but in the world I'm familiar with, the children of such brave souls could expect to receive some special consideration. Perhaps the rogue trader could meet with the orphans? Yeah, I'm a bit worried she'll be like, and then we can hand them over to to the ecclesiarchy so they can be turned into warrior women for their holy crusade. I mean, yeah, I do want them to be properly provided for. No formalities needed. These are children of people who gave their lives to the Von Valencius dynasty. My consideration is the least they deserve. Yeah, let's meet with them. I will pass on your instructions. Thank you for taking my request to heart. Oh, and there we go. Abelard Werserian. Seneschal Abelard Werserian is one of the closest associates of the late Theodora von Valencius. He has spent a decade serving the Rogue Traders Protectorate, and he clearly intends to spend another decade keeping a close eye on every negligent servant or undertrained officer. The elderly Seneschal does not show it, but the death of Theodora, whom he faithfully served for many years, shocked him. Abelard is willing to do anything to ensure that Theodora's successor becomes a brilliant rogue trader worthy of her predecessor. I mean, we'll see what he regards as a brilliant rogue trader. But, you know, I think we'll be brilliant, and we'll just have to see if he agrees. The motley group of adolescents do not take their eyes off you, gazing at you as if you're a creature straight from a fairy tale. How kind. Our indefatigable sister has been keeping an eye on these pups. Abelard glances at the gathered children. It is hardly the Schola Progenium in here, but we have provided the orphans on our ship with adequate care and instruction. Good. Argent is standing to the side of the group. At your approach, she perks up and announces her voice ringing. Brave ones, the master of this ship has appeared before you, the one who guides it through the darkness of the universe by the Emperor's will. Greet your Lord Captain, the rogue trader of House von Valencius. Give them treats and escort them to their homes. I believe a minute of beholding the Lord Captain is great enough honour. I mean, treats sounds great. Grandly address them. It's a weird one, because, I mean, technically it wasn't us, but we still, I mean, it's essentially a monarchy, right? Like, it's the title sort of holds responsibility overall. So if you've got, you know, although we're the new rogue trader, it's still just like the mere concept of a rogue trader is what got all their parents killed, frankly. So, you know, grandstanding may not be the best thing in the world, but it would keep everyone, you know, engaged in me being brilliant. And if they're on side, you know, if they're still just sort of drinking from the Kool-Aid, then, you know, as they say, I can hopefully enact more systemic change. You know, make sure they're well looked after, and, you know, maybe. So maybe I just need to play the part. That would maybe create the most solace. If they think, wow, she was very impressive and almighty, then maybe the death of their parents, you know, may have felt like it's for something grander. If I'm just like, oh, hi, they'd be like, wait, what? They just died for some normal person? That doesn't seem right. So I think we need to, although I hate this, generally, just pomp and circumstance is terrible, I think it spares their feelings more. I know, it's a interesting thing to have to justify, but now I'm going to grandly address them. So, I, the rogue trader and Lord Captain of the ship, speak to you now. Your parents gave their lives for a just cause and brought honour to the von Valencius' banners and those of the Imperium. I am proud of them, and I believe that you'll become their worthy heirs. Teenagers hang on your every word with bated breath. Only a few at the far end of the row seem sullen and not particularly impressed by your speech. One of the scowling visitors with a thin scar across his face. Oh, okay, these are visitors, are they? I thought we were visiting them. Anyway, with a thin scar across his face, tosses his head back and says bitterly, "So what? Why should we care? Our friends and parents died in the dozens for you, noble lot, and you just give us speeches. See, that's why I hate those speeches." But I was hoping they'd been, you know, I mean, they live on a... They live on a ship of a rogue trader. I assume they'd be, like, adequately brainwashed. That we can just give them that and maybe, you know, they wouldn't be so teenagers. They're so teenagers, those teenagers. Argenta quickly turns to the boy. A flurry of emotions flashes in her dark eyes, like she wants both to calm him and scold him for his impudence. Their comportment leaves much to be desired. Hope to be moulded into worthy servants of House von Valencius. Audit's over. Punish the troublemaker. Put the rest back in the bays. Audience is over. If you have things to say them without fear. I will listen. Yeah, alright. I've done my pomp. Now let's address the issues. You know, show them that yes, I am a rogue trader and I am mighty, and look at my hat, and then I can say, but I'm not the same rogue trader that got your parents killed. Let's make sure that doesn't happen again. I mean, obviously, they can't have their parents killed again, but you know, let's start addressing things. It doesn't matter what we say. It won't bring our parents back, and it won't change our fates either. We'll keep slaving away on the ship until we drop and die like our folks. Or worse. I understand your grief and dismay. Parents died. It's not an easy thing to go through. They gave their lives for the truth, for the good of the whole ship, for the Imperium. Do not speak of their honourable fate with anger and disdain. When the heretics who killed your parents attacked the ship, I was there. I took command. I fought and I repelled the assault as quickly as I could. No war can be won without losses. You can only strive to do what is within your power. I have unlimited power. That's what I need to project, I think. The strong have the power to decide the fate of others. The weak either obey or die. If you seek a different lot in life, boy, save your grumbling, look for an opportunity to rise above the rest. Yeah, pull yourself up from your bootstraps. Dress the chaperones, punish the troublemaker, none of these are great. None of these are great. Annoyingly, I think grandstanding is all I've got here, which sucks. Yeah, I think we just need to do some grandstanding. Ugh. Alright, so I understand the grief and dismay. Alright, shows a bit of understanding at least. Parents died. The thing is, right, do not speak of their honourable fate with anger or disdain. I mean, there was still honour in them trying to, you know, fight off a bunch of, like, insane heretics, right? You know, they fought bravely to stop them from taking over the ship. And let's be honest, Chaos taking over the ship would have been a lot worse. And a lot worse for these kids. So I think basically just being like, oh, they threw away their lives for nothing. It's like, well, they threw away their lives, so let's not forget that, yeah? You know? They got dealt a hand, and they played it best they could. So I don't think you should dishonour them. You heard the rogue trader. His words carry the wisdom of the Imperium. Does his words? Okay. It's hard to say whether or not your words have left an impression on the boy, but he nods slowly, then he catches himself and gives you an awkward bow. Abelard gives a sign. Yeah, just remind him of his parents, you know. But yeah, grandstanding is kind of all you've got here. You know, unless we somehow change the entire system, but I'm not sure the game will let us stretch that far. Anyway, Abelard gives a sign, and the servants immediately emerge carrying packaged treats with von Valancius emblazoned on the wrappers. It appears that the Seneschal came prepared for any contingency. I don't actually remember how we did this in the beta, because I remember this event, but I don't remember what we said. So I wonder if that's changed at all. Argenta rubs her temple pensively. She smiles and offers a few more words of encouragement, then leaves the bay. Do we leave the bay? Okay, yeah, alright, off she goes. Just spinning around. She's not an ambi-turner. Idira Talas. Idira Talas is a psyker diviner in the service of rogue trader von Valancius, daughter of a distant world and a product of a doctrine alien to the Imperium. She perceives the curse of society as a gift she deserves, for only the most skilled and strong can endure the touch of the Immaterium. Years of using her sorcerer's powers have cost both Idira's mind and soul. Why is it sometimes the loading screens have you click to continue and sometimes they don't? Always make it a click to continue. There's no reason for it to do otherwise. Okay, well, never mind. We never learnt about Idira. Okay, again, that's banging. Okay. What? It's only when I'm holding middle mouse button. What is causing that noise? Because apparently it is reacting to me. That's very unusual. Alright, to the Cronus expense. Get away from that weird racket. Okay, so... we've gone to Thunderfang. That's a shop. We've gone to Riccardi Filia. We haven't gone to Ricard Majoris yet, have we? Nope, we have explored that. Oh, I think we just scanned it and there was like nothing there. So, Yorak 5 is a quest to get the guide, and then Ricard Minoris is everything else. We end there. In fact, when I played the beta, I thought there was a lot more stuff that I'd missed, but actually I think we've done everything that I hadn't done during that campaign. Voxmaster Vigdis. Lord Captain, sorry to disturb you. Vigdis pauses, if listening to something. It's pandemonium outside the bridge gate. One of the officers seems to be demanding an audience with you in person. I think I hear Master Wasilian's voice. In any case, I wanted to warn you in advance. Alright. Again with that banging. Spinny chair. The everyday sounds of the bridge are disrupted by voices raised in anger. Ablard's voice, the loudest of all. This is not the conduct of an officer. These are antics of a high-born brat out on a lark. Explain yourself, Lieutenant. Avrilla Vent. The young woman standing before Abelard strives with all her might not to crawl under the onslaught of her superior's anger. She falters and then manages to look at him in the eye and say, I apologize, sir, but I must speak to the Lord Captain. Very well, Lieutenant. You may address the Lord Captain, but not least because I see you've already seen fit to disturb her. Your unauthorized appearance on the bridge and display of belligerence towards a higher-ranking officer will be logged on your personnel file without delay. Lord Captain, Lieutenant Avrilla Vent, requesting permission to speak. Vent falls silent and then adds rashly, on a matter of extreme importance and urgency. Kill them to death. No, it's probably not what that says. I mean, it says appropriate punishment. Yeah, probably out an airlock, I don't know. I will see, I will listen to what you have to say. You will speak, but I want to hear a report, not a shouting match. Having two officers bickering in full view of the bridge is unacceptable. Yeah, let's say that. I'm sorry, Lord Captain. I thought the drastic times called for drastic measures. This matter cannot wait. Any minute now, an assault unit will be dispatched to the lower decks on orders to crush the workers' strike by any means necessary. But I'm convinced that this step is unwarranted and that the crisis itself was provoked by the actions of one of the senior officers. Vent is almost trembling with tension as she delivers her speech, her face extremely pale. Abelard, in no hurry to intervene, lets out a sceptical huff. Lord Captain, I urge you to investigate the actions of Seneschal Wasarian, and to intervene in what's happening on the lower decks, because very soon we'll have a mutiny or a massacre on our hands. Vent reels off the last words as though she knows them by heart. She has clearly been preparing to say them for some time. When she's finished, she casts an anxious glance at Abelard, then at you. There's an insurrection in the making aboard my ship, and no one has informed me. How did this all start, or where does Seneschal Wasarian come into all this? I shall explain, Abelard intoned grimly. I beg of you to hurry, time is running out. I will not hurry, since my competence is under scrutiny. I shall speak for as long as I see fit. Oh, shut up, Abelard. Let's get to the problem before everyone's massacred. You dick. See, this is why I find Abelard taxing at times. You know, he's so keen to do things the proper way that he won't let me tell him what the new proper way to do things is. And that bothers me. There is an established order to the way things are done on this ship. I haven't established that order, so can it? And one of the pillars of that system is that the rogue trader's attention is not distracted by trivial matters, even if it means slaughtering a bunch of the people on my ship. Come on. It is a Seneschal's role to ensure that. I have always handled internal problems myself, so, of course, when I received information about cultists hiding on the lower decks, I took the matter in hand. So long as I live, not one of the vermin who murdered Theodora von Valancius will find refuge on her ship. Are the... Okay, so there's cultists down there. Which, I feel like that's important enough to know about, if it is actually, like, there's a cult downstairs, right? You're far too heavy-handed, Seneschal Wessarian. Arrests, interrogations, mass punishments for entire sectors has driven people to the brink, Ben says bitterly. Now there is a strike on the lower decks, in Depot 4 to be precise. 3 worker clans are involved, but many more are passively supporting them. The situation could degenerate into an all-out insurrection. But when I reported my concerns, the only response I received was an order to dispatch an assault unit and crush the strike with maximum force. There's insurrection in the make aboard my ship, and no one has informed me. What is Depot 4? Depot 4 is one of the poorest sectors in the lower decks. It is home to clans of general labourers. They are not as valuable to the ship as the families who have served its specialised systems for generations. They are an easily replaceable resource, and one which is now more besides giving succour to cultists and minions of the arch enemy. Well, then we should, if we presented ourselves as a better alternative, then they would confide in us instead, wouldn't they? Depot 4 is poor and troubled, but at worst that means drunken fights and legal rotgut brewing. We have handled the workers in Depot 4 in the past. We would have done so again if the crackdown on Depot 4 hadn't been so harsh. And another important point to bear in mind, the problem is not limited to this sector. It is located on one of the most populated lower decks, and everything that happens there has a knock-on effect on all neighbouring sectors. Yeah, I mean, a huge clampdown on them is just going to make everyone else uneasy, right? Although I guess that's sort of Wessarian's point, right? Everyone else will notice, and they wouldn't dare. But that just means they're all going to be more secretive about everything they do. So that's not helpful for us. Okay, no one's informed me about an insurrection. I would not deem it a problem worthy of rogue traders' attention. The lower decks, as it so happens, are in revolt. 30-some years ago, we even had a revolutionary leader rise up who dared to establish workers' rule across the entire ship. It took a month to restore order, but even 8 years later, we are still battling rumours that their hero had survived his execution and is on the verge of gathering people to fight against tyranny once more. Abelard scoffs. Needless to say, the rumours were baseless. As the current situation, we have sufficient forces to deal with it. So we're going to use tyranny. That way, they'll definitely not have cause to fight against tyranny. You're an idiot, Wessarian. Come on. But on this ship, the word of Lord Captain carries more weight than a salvo from 100 bolters. I'm sure that if the rogue trader addresses the malcontents directly, she will quell the unrest. I dread to think what problem you will disturb the rogue trader with next. Perhaps you will ask the Lord Captain to break up brawls in the mess room. I have already given you the means to resolve this problem. You simply need to use them. I mean, to brawls in the mess room end with mass executions? Because if they do, I think I need to be involved in these from now on. If I may, your ladyship, sending a hit squad to crush the rebellion is a means of ignoring the problem, not solving it. Yeah, and then the problem remains, and so the symptom, rebellion, happens again. You gotta stop the symptom. You gotta stop the problem, not just patch the symptoms. So let's. I just want to say, let's go. Right, how did all this start? I mean, we said we're in a hurry, people are about to get slaughtered, and, I have no option but to just keep asking more questions. Situation could boil over at any minute, so I'll give you the condensed version. It all began when the enforcers found a cultist amulet on the body of someone who'd been killed in a drunken brawl. We reported up the chain immediately, arranged for a cleansing rite to be performed, and opened an investigation. No heretics have been found alive, but the search has brought tensions between enforcers and the workers to a head. Abelard, what do you have to say about this? I see no need to add anything. I acted within the remit of my authority, guided exclusively by the best interests of your protectorate and your personal safety. If you wish to confirm the rectitude of my actions for yourself, I have no objections. For my part, I urge the Lord Captain to go down to the lower deck, stop the assault unit and speak directly to the people. You'll see that they're not lying or harbouring heretics. That way, you'll stop the uprising before it begins. Yes, I will go to the lower decks and deal with the problem personally. Yeah. Praise the Emperor. Vent cannot contain her relief. Thank you, Lord Captain. An enterprise bordering on the sophomoric. But please yourself, Lord Captain. However, I categorically insist I escort you. Yeah, that's fine. Sounds good to me. Those are essential, these are optional. Dark echelons. Greetings, your graces. Hey, it's Wessarian. Take that, scum. He throws a poo. This is all your fault. All of it. You see, Captain? Now I've got poo on me. Abelard reflectively wipes the sweat from his brow in a startlingly human gesture, and a telling one, a rare moment where he allows his age and wariness to show through his armour-like veneer of self-assurance. The lower decks are a source of endless problems. Sometimes I dearly regret that we cannot replace all the locals with servitors. God, what a charming man. Let's keep moving. We need to get to the bottom of this. Did you hear? They were shouting your name. Of course they were. The organisation of daily routine life on the ship rests upon my shoulders. The mountain of challenges and problems from which I endeavour to insulate you, Lord Captain. The situation on the lower decks has been a cause for concern, and I have intervened personally on more than one occasion, and yet it still isn't fixed. That must be why they remember me. They do not know your face. To them, you're akin to a creature of legend. One who has stood on the steps of the Golden Throne, no less. Whereas I am a man whose name is attached to every order docking rations or lowering a base heating. What a jerk. Okay, people dead. Okay, let's keep moving. Get to the bottom of this. And of course they dare disrespect an officer. And they're clearly dying down here. You're starving them. Something resembling a nest. Ugh. This place sucks.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
Yeah. Oh, here we go. What did I just skip? I was just trying to move the camera, and something skipped. I don't like that. Camera controls should not be controlling anything else. The sounds of a heated discussion reverberate through the ship's bays. Lieutenant Avrilla Vent of the ship's enforcers is barring the path of a heavily built assault unit officer. And judging by their expressions and tone, the standoff has dragged on for some time already and has now reached boiling point. I have my orders to put an end to the unrest and purge this sector. You can take your orders and shove them. This is my deck and my sector. There are only 3 people who can waltz in here without my express permission. The first officer, the rogue trader, and the Emperor himself. Don't be ridiculous. The Emperor can't walk. Anyway, so not all my lessons fall on deaf ears. Abelard mutters in crabby approval. He does not clarify whether he means Lieutenant Vent, the officer looming over her, or both. Your ladyship. Noticing you, the 2 junior officers snap to attention and salute. Their subordinates following suit a moment later. We encountered some of the locals on the way here. Their conduct was outrageous. They were trying to throw things. Fine. I want to speak to the strikers. Yeah, just forget all this nonsense. Abelard's mouth twists, but he restrains himself and says nothing. Right you are, Lord Captain. Allow me to wish you good luck. Hope gleams in Lieutenant Vent's eyes.
I always
and all of them
keep
are
my
running
options
forwards
open.
so that we can torture them dead or alive. Alright, cool your jets. Wow, nobles from the upper decks. See, look how impressed they are already. Okay, what? I don't know why the camera is sort of stuck over there, but sure. A dozen pairs of eyes stare apprehensively at you. The people before you are typical inhabitants of the lower decks. You take in their simple clothing, crude weapons, and faces that display varying levels of mutation, from the barely discernible to the strange to the outright grotesque. Alright, so we have I guess this is Rivet then. I'd assume. Oh, is that Rivet? Oh, that's Rivet. Cool. A whisper passes through the crowd, and you detect a mixture of fear, astonishment, and joy in their reactions. Finally, 3 people break away from the crowd, an elderly woman and 2 men. This must be the leaders. These must be the leaders. They bow clumsily before you. The Lord Captain, you have come down to us. Tell me what's troubling you. So striking. That's news to us, your ladyship, says a tall, thin man in worker's garb. All we're doing is asking questions, saying what we think. Shut up, Rivet, snaps the old woman, who turns her hostile dark eyes on you. Here's the deal, your ladyship. Your damned enforcers are all over us down here. They say they're looking for cultists. One wrong word and they're reaching for the batons. If they want to punish someone, they turn off the heating to whole bays for weeks at a time, so we get sick and freeze. In my clan, 2 little ones died from inflammation in their lungs, all because of those enforcers. The old woman spits on the floor and rubs at the spittle with the toe of her worn-out shoe. Argenta does not interrupt the workers, but you see the sadness well in her eyes when the children's deaths are mentioned. They could have been child soldiers. She quickly whispers a requiem prayer and makes a sign over herself. It's all true. Vent is the only officer who stood up for us. Also, he sounds exactly like the other enforcer officer, which is really like, do you think maybe they're brothers? Ah, that'd be weird, wouldn't it? I'm not projecting the fact I only know so many voices onto the characters themselves. That would be crazy. And who grew up amid ships and has no fellow feeling towards us? Oh, hang on. No, I missed a sentence. It's clear as day who had a mother from the lower decks. Cool. The grim man with a scarred face throws up his arms. Your ladyship, we're no villains here. We're honest workers, your servants. We plotted no disorder, we went on strike openly. And now we got guns pointed at us. All we're doing is asking to be allowed to work in peace, without being harassed. The persecution started apropos of nothing, you say. I was told that one of you has found a possession of a cultist amulet, and that heretics are hiding here. So, yeah, let's get to the bottom of this. I can't just ignore the cultist stuff. That would be irresponsible. A cultist amulet? What's that? The gewgaw they found on the dead drunkard? If it was something evil or forbidden, we sure didn't know. The enforcer just said they were looking for heretics among us, and anyone obstructing their investigation would be punished. But how could there be heretics here? We know our own people. There have been no new faces around.
Definitely not, and if there were, we'd be the first to report them. And as for this amulet, or whatever it is, they took it off a dead body. There were no cultists still breathing in our sector, that's for sure. When the fight broke out, some enterprising folks looted the bodies. The boots they came back with. Nobody's ever tread these decks in boots so fine. I can tell you that. Seems to me these cultists have better commanders than us. Oh yeah, those boots really were fine, and there was no harm in taking them, right? As for the amulet, it must have been pocketed by someone who didn't know any better. We don't need any amulets around here. We all worship the Emperor, and when we're working, we bow down before the machine spirits of the large and small transformers and the servo motor, the same way my grandfather was taught 100 years ago by the tech priest who came calling. Believe us, your ladyship, we are people of faith. Naive children! Weren't you taught from an early age about the danger of the arch-enemy's creations? Weren't you warned that any unfamiliar object could be one of them? Boots. The boots were unfamiliar to them, Argenta. Calm your jets. Also, what education? Like, what institutes are down here? Like, they're literally talking about teachings from a tech priest that visited several generations ago. Like, come on. We were told, Holy Sister, but it was long ago. The last time we saw a confessor in our sector, it was just after I'd had my third little one. That is regrettable, but you cannot lay the burden of leading a righteous life on the shoulders of the Holy Fathers. Who will you blame when beasts crawl out of the amulets you stole from the heretics? The Holy Father who was not there, or the scavenger who brought evil down upon himself and his neighbours? I mean, at that point, it's kind of irrelevant, isn't it? Abelard, do you have anything to add? I mean, just like not knowing, like they were ignorant. Either way, right? Anyway, Abelard, do you have anything to add? We were attacked on the way here. What changes do you want? Would you look at this? The exalted Lord Captain herself is asking us bilge rats what we want. Well, here's what. We want you to rein in your damned enforcers, quit turning off the heat, and to stop battering everything that moves. No, that's not it. We want enforcers gone from here, and we want to be armed. Give us arms and we'll govern ourselves. We'll defend ourselves if these cultists do show their faces. I've been leader of my clan for 20 years now. Getting rid of these club-wielding thugs can only improve things around here. You've gone too far, old man. They'll never let the maggots on the lower decks live without the enforcers breathing down their necks. They probably even insist on enforcers on the upper decks too. As for weapons, what do we need them for? Before the first day's out, we'll have someone shooting their neighbour out of stupidity or drunkenness. We don't need that. If the enforcers stop hassling us, that'll be enough. In return, we'll find the scavengers who robbed the cultist bodies and we'll talk to them, one lower deck to another. If there are any more of those damned amulets about, we'll hand them over to the enforcers ourselves. You speak for yourself and your clan, now speak for me and mine. I don't want empty gestures, I want real change. Loads of guns. Pew pew pew. They'll promise us the world now, but as soon as the anointed one turns her back, these brutes will be on us even harder than before, all because we dared to speak out. The tool worker's eyes dart between the two arguing leaders. Every few seconds, he opens his mouth as if planning to agree, but each time he falls silent, simply making a few vague noises of approval. Okay, so we have a few options. Any thoughts, Abelard? Spreading anarchy on the ship is the first step towards embracing chaos. Putting weapons in untrained hands would be even worse. What's more, the enforcers need to maintain oversight and order. Withdraw those demands, we'll consider the rest. Fine, I'll give the order for the enforcer to be withdrawn from the sector. You'll be given weapons. You have failed to convince me of your trustworthiness. Okay, we're going for this one. So it was at this point in the beta that I was I was really annoyed by the system they use for conversation, because frankly, everything preceding this decision, okay, has informed us in order for us to make a decision. It doesn't need to contextualize the decision. It can just say what this option does. It doesn't need to have it, what's actually going to happen, right, at the end. It shouldn't qualify these statements with the last possible sentence. It should say up front, right, coercion 40, no to guns and enforcers being withdrawn. And then it can do some flavor text, right? It really... There's so much to chew through here to actually pick the thing that you want to do, right? But anyway, we're going to do coercion, withdraw those demands. Hopefully we'll get this. Oh, we literally can't fail, because our skill value is 65. Amazing. It succeeded. What a miracle. The tool worker they call Rivet shrugs and casts a sidelong look at the old woman. Old Nan, listen. The Lord Captain herself has come down on us and is offering concessions. And I don't know a single person in the whole Depot 4 who's ever stood next to the rogue trader, let alone talk to them. Back down. Now there's no time for you to be a stubborn old crone. And why do I sound sort of like you? I don't know, maybe I'm one of your little ones. What's happening? Again, I'm not projecting my own limited array of voices that I can do onto the characters. No. That's all supposed to be there for people to wonder about the relationships of these characters. Definitely. Listen to us, old Nan. The 3 clans of Depot 4 ought to act as one. We've made our minds up. It's your turn to decide. Don't ask them to disband the enforcers or give us weapons. We don't need any of that. The old woman hisses in dissatisfaction. You two are ganging up on me, is that it? So brave you are against an old woman. But I'll shut up. I will indeed. I won't go against 2 clan leaders on my own. If you want to make peace with the enforcers, make your peace. That's great, just fantastic, Lord Captain. We're all agreed. There's decided persecution will stop, and I'll expect you to assist in locating and raiding amulets or weapons left by the cultists. You have failed me to convince... Yeah, I'm gonna go with the middle one, okay? Sort out your own people, and the enforcers won't need to. It's real simple. You know, dead simple. And of course, if they don't, well then... The way chaos spreads, then they'll all just be massacred. So, like, if them people their word, great. If not, well, they don't have guns. It doesn't matter, right? So, I think this is the most pragmatic approach, as well as the most morally sound, frankly. Your ladyship, thank you. You have not abandoned us lower deckers. You came yourself and settled everything. I'll tell my grandchildren about this. Of course, your ladyship. We'll root out any nasty business faster than the enforcers, and we'll leave no stone unturned. I don't think any of those people have ever even seen a stone. Why am I over here in the darkness? What is happening? Here we go. Okay, so there is potentially just random bits and bobs that I can grab, but honestly...
Let us not dawdle.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point. Like, there's a bunch of valves and things here. I feel like we'll be down here again at some point. Stopping unexpectedly, Abelard imperiously dismisses the unit to stand at a distance and addresses your other companions, saying, I have an urgent matter to discuss with the Lord Captain. Please give us a moment. I'm just going to stand here in the poopy. Abelard looks at you, and his last vestiges of restraint vanish. Well, are you pleased with your investigation, Lord Captain? You kowtowed to the disloyal rabble. No, I didn't. I specifically said that their demands were too much. You believed their lies and showed them leniency. Next time the ship is attacked by cultists, that rabble will welcome them with open arms and allow them to wreak whatever havoc they like, because they see you as a weak leader. Yeah, but they're now comfortable now. They're more comfortable than they've been forever.
because they're not getting daily beatings and their heating taken off, right? So like they're immediately going to be more protective over the situation they're in now than previously. Previously, they have nothing, couldn't do anything, cult is showing up, they'd immediately go, yeah, please, someone take over the ship. So, yeah, anyway. Is that how you see the future at the helm of the Von Valencia's Protectorate? Do not speak to your Lord Captain in that tone. Why are you so angry? I solved the problem. Let's talk about your role in this instead. You allowed this revolt to happen, your actions practically guaranteed it would. Exactly. I would have handled the situation myself had you not decided to intervene, Abelard says irascibly. Remember Lord Captain Theodora, do you think she ever set one slippered foot on the lower decks? No, she did not. Such matters were left to myself and the junior officers while she dedicated herself to her grand designs for the Protectorate, as any true strategist and rogue trader ought. If she'd spent more time on trifling matters, she wouldn't have wound up dead. There is a new Lord Captain aboard the ship now, and I will not repeat her mistake. I would be only too willing to trust in my seneschal and not feel my head in such matters, but the situation has spiraled out of your control. Give me a reason why I should continue listening to your advice and trusting your judgment. Right now, I don't see any. Let's go with the top one. Abelard looks at you stunned and exhales loudly. Then he nods curtly. I commend your decisiveness, but I'm uncomfortable with introducing new protocols in the midst of a crisis. But the new protocols stop crises from happening in the first place. And Abelard stands straight to attention. I lost my temper, Lord Captain, and I believe I ought to explain myself. Abelard speaks slowly, the words not coming easily to him. The prosperity of the Von Valencia Protectorate is not just an empty phrase to me. I left the Imperial Navy for a chance to see it flourish. It was the most momentous decision of my life. I did it because I saw in Lord Captain Theodora's deeds the side of true greatness. Rogue traders do not simply forge new routes and capture worlds. They create order out of anarchy. They create impulse. That creative impulse was entirely lacking during my time in the military. So I left behind everything I had known, except how he should run things in a tyrannical fashion. He maintained that. He brought that with him. Everything my family had known. I came from a long line of officers, and I embarked upon this incredibly reckless venture. Lord Captain Theodora entrusted me with the concerns she had no time for. She would go off on her flagship for long periods to distant frontiers, on scouting voyages, and the advancement of the entire Protectorate rested on my shoulders. And then suddenly, everything that had been built over years and years began to quake, rattling like a flimsy hanger on a seismically active world. Oh my god, there's so much here. It's a huge speech. He could just say, I messed up. One of the senior officers betrayed us all. The rogue trader was killed, and who knows what is happening on the planets. I tell you this honestly, without fear of appearing weak. All this has come to a grievous blow to me. I am not panicking or grieving because I cannot allow myself to panic or grieve. I am duty-bound to aid the new rogue trader, to aid you. To find your footing as quickly as possible, and to do that I must insulate you from problems that in the past have been dealt with by tried and tested procedures that clearly haven't fixed the things that they're trying to fix. Set out in the ship's regulations. Procedures that were established long ago and have functioned smoothly. There was a rebellion. For decades cannot suddenly be deemed excess to requirements. She trusted established procedures, and she died. I won't make the same mistake. If you want to keep building the future of Von Valencia's Protectorate with me, stop living in the past. I understand you need to learn how to respect me as your Lord Captain Rogue Trader, accept it and start living in a new world. A world where Theodora is gone, and where you and I have decisions to make. Or, prosperity of Von Valencia's Protectorate is just important to me. You're the only person who has comprehensive knowledge of how things are run on the ship. I think the future will follow your recommendations. No. I value what Theodora created to trust that situation is an aberration, another way smooth operations, established procedure working, as every change that they weren't. I've seen plenty of sentiment hankering in recent days, but very little competence. I have no plans to rely on your judgment or try and test procedures in the future. I kind of like both the top two, honestly. I want to keep building a future, stop living in the past. That world is gone, and you and I have new decisions to make. This at least gives him some agency, and I'm trusting him to learn that just because it's procedure now doesn't mean it's procedure worth keeping. Okay, I want him to reflect on that, rather than saying, the past is stupid, shut up. Right, no, I do need his experience of this ship. But I need to make sure that the information that he has is being acted on in ways that will improve things. For everyone. And the mission, Imperium, everything, right? So, we live in a new world now. Abelard solemnly inclines his head. Yes, Lord Captain. After a moment's silence, he nods, looking at you with interest. Your resolve is admirable and demonstrates strong leadership. I'll remember this moment. See, look. See, he's reflecting. See, I told you. Should my old habits ever begin to creep back in. See, look. See? See? Bit of self-reflection. And now, please, let us leave the lower decks. I don't want to have poopy thrown at me again. If the rogue trader desires to stretch her legs, there are far more suitable places, like the leg stretchatorium. It's several acres. We demolished thousands of workers' abodes to make room for the leg stretchatorium for our Lord Commander. What do you mean that's a bad thing? It's an honor. Sure is. Okay, so we're going to end the episode here. We are already over time. But it's a fun one. I really like this event. I did find it frustrating the first time I went through it in the beta, though, just because there is so much to read. And they really, like, bury the lead on, like, what your options do. You have to read a lot of it. It causes a lot of fatigue, you know? It's a lot to get through just to find the thing you have already decided in most cases. So I wish they did, like, put up front what the decision was and then add all the flavor text. Because a lot of the time, I don't need the flavor text. It's just schizophrenic to read, you know, a million different, like, rationales of a situation. It's really silly. But anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying this. I certainly am. If you are, then comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, guys.
I won't compromise my principles.